Hello, I'm Chris Rogers, deer stalker on the Euston estate and also CIC trophy measurer. Today we're going to go through preparing a deer trophy that you've shot, and before we start we're just going to run through the equipment that you're going to need to do that in a reasonably professional way. So to start with, we have obviously a knife to remove the skin from the head. Once we've done the skinning, we're going to cut the skull in a couple of different ways using just an ordinary cheap saw from the hardware shop. Then we're going to boil the head. I've obviously got a Burco boiler, but you can use a big saucepan at home. In the water we're going to put in some soda crystals, which will just help break the fat down and just make the boiling a little bit quicker. Once the head's been cleaned up, I'm going to use a pressure washer for that, but if you don't have a pressure washer, you can scrape the skull with an old knife, preferably one with a point, because you can get into little nooks and crannies. We're then going to wrap the skull up in some plain white kitchen towel, or you could use cotton wool, and we're going to soak that in hydrogen peroxide for a few hours or overnight. Another thing that can be quite useful is some forceps, which you can get probably from a fishing tackle shop. It's quite handy to remove bits of meat and bone from inside the skull with these. And also some disposable gloves when we're using the peroxide. And then we've just got an old washing up bowl to sit the skull in while it's soaking. So we're going to do two species today. We've obviously got a roebuck. This was shot last season, and the head's been kept in the freezer. And that's a good point. If you can't prepare your trophy straight away, you can store it in the freezer indefinitely. It doesn't damage the antlers at all, so just whack it in there and forget about it. And also we've got a muntjac buck as well to do. And this part really is just taking the skin off. Just for a skull mount, it doesn't matter how you take the skin off, you're just getting it off. If you were going to skin it for a taxidermy job, or taking the cape off properly, you'd obviously be careful around the coronets to get the skin off properly, and around the eyes and the lips. So basically what we're going to do to start on this roebuck is we're just going to cut open through the skin here on either side, and then we're just going to start peeling the skin back and basically cutting it off the head. Start by cutting the skin between the jaws there on either side. We're going to go to the back, just split the skin in the middle, like so. Then we're going to start working around the side. Cut the ear there, come up as far to the back of the skull as the knife will go, come around the eye socket, down the other side, same thing again. Round to the back and put the point of the knife in the skin, just split it open, and then push the point of the knife right into the back, so you're trying to get right under the coronet. If you split the skin properly, you should be able to push it round like that, just peel the skin off around the pedicle. And then with the knife, just loosen it on the inside. Same thing on the other side. But you'll find being right or left-handed, one side is easier than the other. like that. Just loosen the skin in between the skull and the pedicles. And you can do the same from the back as well. And then hopefully should be able to just give it a couple of little twists and the skin come out in one piece. Next, we're just going to take the skin off the lower jaw. And now we have to remove the lower jaw. We do this by placing the point of the knife inside the jawbone, push it down as far as it will go on either side, right up into the skull as far as you can go. Cut through the cheekbones on the outside. And then hopefully should be able to just gently pull the jawbone open. And then cut it off from the skull. There you go. Right, so we've skinned our 3 heads. We're going to cut this one as a short nose cut, this one a long nose cut, and this one as a full skull. So this one, the lower jaw's been removed, it's just going to go in the boiler as it is, so we'll put that to one side. This one for the long nose cut, that is traditionally just taking basically the top teeth off and a little bit of the back of the skull here. So when we cut it, it's going to be roughly in a line, something like that. So we'll do that one in a minute. And the short nose cut, which is probably the easiest cut to do, we're going to be cutting it from the bone here, straight through the eye socket and through the back of the skull. The easiest way to do that is where the nasal bone comes down, there's some soft cartilage here. We're just going to cut through that with the end of our knife and just cut this soft bit out of the way. Hold it up like that, and then where you've made that cut, it then gives you something to put the saw into to cut down through. So you can get jigs to do this, but I just cut it freehand, and usually it comes out okay. So looking down from on top, you'll be able to see whether the saw is in line with either eye socket, and you'll be able to see the angle of the saw as well. So check in to see if it's in line and the angle of the cut, and then we're just going to come back a couple of times just to start the cut into the bone. Okay, once the saw is in that far, you've pretty much set the line that you're going to take. So if you're happy it's in the right place and the angle that you're going to be on, pretty much just go for it. But we've come right through the skull and we'll basically just cut it off at the bottom. So through the bone, just cut any excess meat off. There we have it. Okay, so we've got some water in our Burco boiler. We put some soda crystals in. This holds about 18 litres of water, and we've probably put roughly a cup of soda crystals in. Like I say, the soda crystals help to break down the fat, so it makes the boiling a quicker process. But if anything, err on the side of caution, because if you put too much in, it will just dissolve all the fat that holds the skull together as well. What we've done on the trophy is we put some wire around it, and we're going to hook that over the edge of the boiler so that the antlers are sitting just above the water. If the antlers are in the water, especially if they're dark coloured antlers, then you can actually boil some of the colour off them. So we're just going to stick those in, hook them onto the side. Obviously the older animals take a bit longer to boil than the younger ones, but for a mature roebuck you're probably looking to sort of simmer / boil for about 25 minutes. A young one is probably only 15 to 20 minutes. This small muntjac we're just going to put straight in as it is. That's probably going to take 5 minutes, and we've cut the tusks off the upper jaw, and we're just going to drop those in, and that'll just make it easier to pull them out. So there we go.